You want the quality of a handcrafted wine, but you know they're going to start calling it ghost wine because you're ordering the parts, and then the FBI is going to come in and storm your house for making ghost wine. Well, you can go to AllisonWinePromo.com and avoid federal prison and also have better tasting wine because you know that your friend who makes it in their basement, it sucks, but you tell them that you like it because you don't want to offend them. Anyway, if you go to AllisonWinePromo.com, you're going to be on my listserv. We're going to start having wine club meetings. You get to meet the guys who import these wines. These are small batch wines that come from very remote regions of different parts of the world now. We're not just extremist altitude Argentina. We've expanded to extremists in France, extremists to Italy. We're doing global extremism. You want to be a global extremism? You don't want to have to go to prison for ghost wine? Then get yourself some wine from AllisonWinePromo.com, okay? Thanks everybody who is already there. Also, a great way to support my work is AllisonMorrow.locals.com. $5 a month to go one-on-one with the most censored people on the internet. All right, Dexter Taylor is back. He was on last time to talk about what could really be a historic case, I think, regarding the Second Amendment. You are facing 20 years, and Jack is very interested in this case too. That's why he's here right now, paying attention to everything that's going on.
He's
Dexter's
soaking it
legal
all in.
counsel. you were you're facing 20 years for making guns at home. If I were to just simplify it into one sentence, is that correct?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's exactly right. For making firearm again, for being a law-abiding citizen, because I have a squeaky clean record. So yes, that's right. It's for manufacturing my own traditional firearms in the traditional American way in my house, privately, quietly, without having asked the state for permission. That's exactly why I'm facing not quite 20 years. I think it's like 18, but you know, as near as makes no difference. That's right.
Yeah, 18 years in prison could feel easily like 20. So we'll give you
Certainly
that.
could.
And I'll ask you in a minute about what it, how you're doing with all that, because that to me would seem like a very overwhelming situation to face as someone with no criminal record. What's going on with the trial right now? Because it's underway. That's why you're back. And before we go any further, too, I should say GiveSendGo.com is where you have your GoFundMe at D Taylor _2A _legal, which you can also
Yes, ma'am.
find on Twitter at Future Radio Cast. That's his Twitter, and that also has the link for the Give Send Go if you want to follow what's going on. But yeah, give us an update. The trial's underway. What's going on?
Well, this past week we finally finished impaneling a jury, and so Thursday we made opening arguments. You know, my side and the prosecution side, and then the prosecution started calling their witnesses and introducing evidence. The jury selection process was interesting. I won't go into too much detail about that, except to say that it's very obvious that the state is really putting its thumb on the scale on this one. It's clear that we've got their attention. The prosecution has more than once tried to get the court to admonish me not to speak about this case in public. So they've been watching my social media appearances, and which, by the way, I'm delighted about. I think, like, knock yourselves out, guys. You know, you're very welcome. But yeah, the prosecution tried on two separate occasions to get the judge to admonish me not to speak about the case in public, even though they said they weren't asking for a gag order. That is, I mean, as far as I can tell, that's a distinction without a difference. And you know, to her credit, she declined. Right, she denied both those motions. Um, the state, you know, one can tell that the state has a particular idea about jury composition. One can tell that the state did not want any strong black men on the jury. Um, uh, with respect to the distaff side, the jury is mostly women. Um, but I actually like this jury. I actually really, really, really like this particular jury um, because it's mostly women from who are of my, well, how can I put this? Women who I might have grown up with in you know, back in Queens. Do you know what I'm saying? Or here in Brooklyn. Um, Some time ago when we were doing trial prep, my lawyer asked me, he said, if you could snap your fingers and make the jury you want, like, what would that jury look like? It's like, well, jury of working class people, working class New Yorkers, you know. If I could get a jury of people who actually, get up every day and do kind of ordinary work, forget about, academics and specialists of that kind, but just ordinary people, that would be the best. And we came very, very close to that ideal. So I'm good to go with that jury. I think the prosecution may have miscalculated in trying to push so hard for a jury that didn't have any of my actual, male peers. But
Mm.
but it is what it is. Like I said, I like it, and then in opening arguments, it's also the case that you can tell that the state is putting its thumb on the scale. Um, we expected the prosecution to try to make the case that I'm a monster because if you can imagine, you're saying this person committed a crime, right? And again, you're saying that the 12 New Yorkers, 12 people who get on the subway usually every day, right? Or get on public transportation, 12 people who have to walk the streets, 12 people who can go into their local drugstore and see that they've locked up the toothbrushes. Do you know what I'm saying? 12 people who go home every night and watch the news and see all kinds of craziness happening in the streets of our city. 12 people who can see cops getting the bejesus kicked out of them on camera by people who then don't pay any bail and simply walk, right? And you're saying this guy's a dangerous criminal. And it's like, well, what did he do? He made things. I mean, he made guns in his house privately, quietly. He didn't shoot anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't threaten anybody. None of that. He just manufactured weapons. That's it.
When do we expect this to be over? What happens? Are
Could
you,
go
you know,
could go
yeah.
another could go another week maybe. I think it's probably going to go another 2 weeks. And then
Are you
and then
stressed
we'll see.
out?
No, I
No,
mean
you
don't
don't
get
seem
me
like
wrong.
it.
I don't like. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the idea of spending the next 18 years away from my daughter, for example. But like Maj Touré, some clown was taunting Maj Touré because the state of Pennsylvania is basically trying to put him in the jackpot for being pro 2A, for acting like a free citizen, in his own
Mhm.
goddamn country. And he said and so some liberal, oh, hope you enjoy life in prison, the way they do. And Maj Touré just said, hey, if I go to prison, I'm gonna minister to the men behind. I'm gonna organize the men behind the walls. That's what he said. And I feel the same way. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like if I go to prison, well, I'll just talk to the men behind the walls, you know, and we'll sit down and we'll reason together like men. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not I'm not afraid. I told Kim Iverson when she interviewed me, like my daughter said she's proud of me. She knows what I'm facing. She said, "Papa, I'm proud of you for fighting them." So, like, you can't scare me with anything. You can't show me a bunch of time and scare me. No, I'm a first class citizen. I'm a free human being. Yeah, and my home is the United States of America, and the Constitution of this republic applies in all 50 states, all of them. And you can say I'm not allowed to say it in court, but I'm damn well going to say it out here. Constitution applies in all 50 states, and the right to keep and bear arms is a sacred right. It's embedded deep, not just in the history of this country, but in the history of black people, civil rights. Black folks picked up arms and defended the communities they built after emancipation. It wasn't we didn't sit around singing "We Shall Overcome" waiting for white liberals to come and bail us out. We picked up weapons and stood to like men to defend the decent from the wicked. You see what I'm saying? That's our history, right? That's where we come from. That's what we are. So, all this thing about this and that and blah blah blah, you're gonna have to do this and 18 years. It's like, hey, you're not gonna scare me. You know, my daughter said she's proud of me. Good to go. Let's, let's go.
All right, Dexter. Well, I look forward to the update. Thanks
Yes,
for coming
ma'am.
on and talking about this. And thanks everybody who supports the show to keep interviews like this coming. We'll see you next time.